Hey guys, I hope everyone is doing well. We're going to go into the hives here in just a few minutes, but I'm going to talk for a minute or two before. So if you want to fast forward a minute or two to not have to listen to me drone on, you are welcome to do so. I am going to talk right now about some of what we expect to see or hope to find, or will probably find in the hives for this inspection. There's both queen drama and brood drama, worker bee drama. For the queens, um, we have in the far hive a new queen, a new returned queen that is homegrown, whom we have named Lulua. That may not be pronounced correctly, but it's how we're going to pronounce it. So, for those biblical scholars among you, you will recognize the inside joke here. If you look at Eve biblically as the mother of all, well, for our apiary, until Peaches, the mother of all was the one queen, the original queen, mother or grandmother. And so, because she's the mother of all, we have dubbed her posthumously Eve, and therefore Lulua is the daughter of Eve, the twin sister of Cain, wife of Abel. Lulua was Eve's first daughter, and also the name of our second generation queen bee on location. So anyway, she's back now, and she has been back for about 2 weeks, so she should be getting really good at her queenly duties, and so we are hoping to find a good brood pattern and and some capped brood. It may not be capped yet, but a brood pattern that is indicative that she is doing her job and doing it well. The reason it might not be capped yet is there's just not much time has passed by to let her do her job. So when a queen lays an egg, the egg lasts for 3 days before it hatches. And once it hatches into brood, it stays larval in a larval stage for 6 days before it's capped, and then a number of days before the full-size, full-grown adult bee emerges. Now, from the beginning of the egg laying to the emergence in the cell, for worker brood, normal brood, it's 21 days. For a queen, I forget the math. I think it's something like 15 or 16 days. And for a drone, it's something like 19 days. I could be wrong on plus or minus 1 or 2 days. So, because it takes 9 days for brood to be capped from the time the egg was laid, and she's only had the last 5-6 days. How many days has she been in there? There's probably larvae. It may not be capped. If it is, good. If it's not, we'll wait on it. So that's okay, and that's true for both hives. So that's queen drama for Lulua in the far hive. In the middle hive, if you remember and you're keeping up with the bee updates, you'll know that we introduced Peaches, the queen from Georgia, Italian queen bee from Georgia, into the middle hive in a cage 5 days ago. So if she is not in her cage, okay. If she has not freed herself from her cage, then we have some questions to ask, but we will free her before the end of the inspection, probably. Here's why. About 5 or 6 hours after we introduced the cage in the cell, we saw activity at the beehive that was indicative of the queen's return. Like, I'm unfamiliar of increased activity and kind of swarm-like behavior that is commensurate with a new queen was introduced in a cage, and so everyone freaks out and flies around. Well, what does happen when the queen returns from a mating flight, she normally brings a small swarm with her. So if she returned in the same day that we introduced the cage, well, that's bad timing, but also very possible. So we'll have to see what we see. If she's in her cage and there is a queen running around, we can move the cage to the near hive and just do a hasty split. If If she's not in her cage and the new queen is there, if we can catch one of them, then we can still do a split. If we can't catch one of them, or we only find one, then we will leave that alone. It'll either be Peaches, the Georgian queen from the cage, or it'll be the new queen, whom we have already dubbed MacLeod, which is, of course, an inside joke, MacLeod being the Highlander, and there can be only one. So Queen MacLeod will be present and happy, or Queen Peaches will be present and happy, or they will both be present and unhappy, in which case we will split them if we can. Otherwise, we'll let nature take its course and we'll see who wins. Now, all of that is queen drama. We have brood drama in both cases, and here's why. Both hives were queenless for a couple of days, for about a week, for a couple of days, before the queens were back and were able to fill the hive to whatever they wanted with resources and nectars and pollens. So now that the queens are introduced in both hives, we think, the workers should have instinctively started moving the honey and nectars and resources from where they are in the hive to the outer rings. So to the outermost frames of the hive and to the outermost sections of the frame that are filled, to leave the middle space to the queen for laying eggs. If they have not done this, then there's a fear that the queen will right now be what's called honey-bound, which means she can't lay eggs because there's no place to put them. So if that's the case in either hive, then that hive will be larvaless, will be broodless, waiting for them to figure it out. Now there's some management that we could do. We can introduce some new frames. We could reorder the frames to make sure that the frames in the middlemost parts of the hive are available to her. But bees do reorganize their hive space regularly. They move around honey, they move around resources. As long as they recognize there is a queen present, they will do what they can to stay out of her way. So it'll be interesting to see what we see. Queen drama, brood drama, and a couple of questions that we need answered. And that's why we're going in today. Thank you.
Starting with the far hive today, and it looks like they're all just in the middle. We did start to build on that one a little bit.
This is a good one for Lalua if we find her in the middle, if they're getting a little bit bound. Because, like I said, it's new wax. Deep cells. Keep that one aside from maybe in the middle. You know, we are not doing well on direct sunlight today. That makes this a little more difficult.
It would.
A lot of bee bread, nectars.
There's a lot of nectar on the other side too.
Is there? Yeah, there's no... I guess you wouldn't expect it, but there's no brood on this side.
There's the queen. Still not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, she seems to be searching. Look, there are empty cells down there. Look around. You'll find some.
Okay, we're gonna focus on the queen and see if we can catch her in the act of laying an egg.
Another egg. She's got her head in a cell right now, which, well, what are you doing? She must have been thirsty. Okay, so what you'll see is she'll curl her abdomen, kind of like a weightlifter doing bicep curls. And she'll back down into the cell that way so that she can reach the bottom of the cell. And she'll wait a second, and then she'll lay the egg, and she's done. Okay, here she goes. She's curled, Where are you going? She's uncurled. Come on.
Is that egg you can see on the tip there?
I don't know. Maybe her stinger. Oh, there she goes.
White.
And so, yes, that was an egg. You see how she kind of submerges her abdomen?
Yes.
And then she'll come up. And she can do that approximately 1,200 times a day. Or
Although hers seems to be a bit lazy because she hasn't done that nearly enough.
she's trying to figure it out. There's some old larvae in there. So not capped, of course, but I'm seeing a lot of larvae. On this cell, anyway. On this frame, anyway.
Yeah, she kind of takes her time in there, doesn't she?
Well, for now. She's got to get the muscles developed. I love this one just crawling over top of her. Here, I'll just clean this wing while you're doing that. I don't know why she's taking so long. She's getting groomed. Her tendons are really taking care of her. You see the big circle all the way around her. They're facing her, paying attention. Yeah, she is taking too long with the eggs. So that was Lulua and her activity. It's funny because she actually came out of the cell right when we turned off that last little video clip. It's like she was waiting to hear the sound of the camera turning off. I don't know. But she's doing her thing. I do see larvae, as expected. I don't see a lot of capped brood. I see a lot of what will be capped. So they're doing well. We're going to close them up and move on to the middle hive.
So this is the middle hive, that piece of cardboard that the bees are actually trying to chew through from the top. The queen is attached in her cage to the bottom of it.
We gotta check that.
Well, the queen cage is on the bottom of it.
I have a lone hive beetle and a couple of ants.
It's a little bit stuck down, actually.
You know?
More bees are in there. I don't know if she's in there.
So they chewed through something. Oh wow, they ate right through that queen candy.
It's a...
See the plug space?
Oh, I see the space. Oh, yeah.
So Peaches is released. That's one question that we had.
The candy was in here, basically a hard lump of sugar, and there was a cork in the end, so we took the cork out.
Then looks like that.
Yeah, right. And then she and her attendants were supposed to chew through and exit the hole, which they did because she's no longer in there.
So this will come out. I'll just put it over here on the pile, and these guys will find their way back in. Actually, I'll shake just for a sec. This might not make them happy.
Look at that comb going on in there. So that's what they do with the extra space.
Did they build it?
Yes, they did.
Oh, doggone it. We have to clean that.
Alright. I am ready for it to come out.
They're festooning. This one has a lot of funky comb. Crazy comb, I guess is the word.
Crazy comb. So, when the frames aren't right up against each other, they will make use of the extra space.
That's crazy. All of that, by the way, is wasted work. It's got to go away, as well as the bit on the next frame. They should have been using some of the empty frames on the outside instead of the empty space in the middle. But the cage needed to fit, and so it did. Good comb, though. Do you want me to shake this?
I wouldn't do that yet. Like if you wanted to.
What's that? You don't think?
And the next frame. So I guess I should have waited till we were.
That's all right. I can use the tool if I need to.
It's a little stuck.
Wow, this is a heavy frame. Hey, lots of capped brood. Look at this.
Ah. I will zoom in on that.
And larvae around it. Good job, Peaches. I don't see her, but she's probably on the back side of this.
More brood.
Is there?
Yeah.
I need to see it. I would like to see it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. There's a brood pattern. She's making use of what space she can get. There she is. Under the crazy comb.
Oh, yeah. Hang on, I'm not the right place. And then I was, and then it moved. And now I don't. Oh, okay. There she is. Good job, Peaches.
She's looking for an empty cell. There she goes. Hey. Nope, she didn't get up. Yeah, now she's up by the food and resources. Now she's just inspecting their work.
It's a little dark just to see in there. See the larvae inside the cells before they're capped. Everyone keeps walking over the ones I'm trying to show. Awesome. And then they get capped. And what we didn't know before we started taking classes for bee school is that they actually form a cocoon inside there. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that it's unfortunate that we can't see one emerging today, because that's always fun.
Yeah, I can
There's a
see that eventually too.
Yeah, there's a couple cleaning out the cells. So recently emerged, but maybe. Or maybe they're just prepping the cell for an egg.
It's starting to rain.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And clean up the edge. Nah, use your glove.
Okay.
So they'll just kind of get out of the way. That one's resisting. Alright. So we have seen Lulua, we have seen Peaches. Peaches is doing great work, sorry guys, with the brood. You saw the pattern, which I think is spectacular. Lulua needs to up her game a little bit. Peaches is absolutely fixing her hive. And the more brood we have, the more capable they are of raising more brood. So the more the more Peaches will lay because they're able to take care of it. Very good news.
Here's a shot of the crazy comb we took out. And they are still all over it.